Hi, everyone, and we are live. Welcome to Mary the Medium. Well, actually, Mary, what do you see?
Right.
Yeah, with Mary the Medium. And we have our special guest tonight, Rosalia. And
Hey, Rosalia.
Hello. Um, and
We can't say her last name. So, Rosalia, say your last name for the audience so they know it.
Yeah, sure. My name is Rozalia Kielishkiewicz. And you don't have to practice that. It's okay.
Okay. Well, I did a little intro for you. Just I think I got most of it. But to our audience, if I did put links in the description, but you are a psychic Reiki healer, correct? And then with a writer and an author with your first published book, Weekly Tarot Shadow Book, which we will talk more about tonight. And then you have a YouTube channel with a variety of educational videos that include tarot, divination, astrology, nutrition, and yoga. And I did check out, you have like quite a few videos for yoga. Yes, and that's the book. So thank you very much for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Mary. Yeah. And how are you doing, Mary?
I'm great. Okay, guys, so about this show, this is strictly entertainment. What you hear come out of my mouth is directly from spirit. Don't take it personally and or legally, because this is strictly my opinion as a psychic medium remote viewer. And so anyway, and it's only for entertainment purposes.
Fair use. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, Rosalia, I love your book. Love it. Guys, it's thick. It gets deep. Okay? But I'm telling you what, it's all about tarot, Reiki. Tell me yoga, chakras, and healing, psychic healing, the endocrine system, the respiratory system, the blood system, the cardiovascular, digestive, nutritional therapy, alternative healing modalities, natural medicine, and it has a workbook area in there for when you like tarot spread for the week, and Rosalia did some of her stuff in there. Okay, so if you are into tarot and you pull a card, then you can journal in it. But Rosalia, I want you to tell me why you wrote this book, because there's definitely nothing like this on the market.
Yeah. So what happened was I was just trying to be creative. I was like, oh, I think my clients would benefit from a journaling book, like somewhere where they could pull a card for the week and write down what they're feeling based off of the card that they received. So I actually made the journal part first, like the place where you can write down your day and what's going on and like the connection to the chakras, etc. I wrote that down first, and then I let it go for like a few months. And then I came back to it and I was like, okay, let's publish this 20-page, little self-help workbook. And I started writing the purpose of the book. And that was actually the first page of the book, the purpose of the book. And I started writing, and then I was like, oh, if I'm going to write this part, I'm going to have to write that. And then it just continued. Oh, if I'm going to write that, then I have to write this. And then it just kept going and going and going and going. And I realized that it was turning into a book. And so I couldn't stop, because I realized when I was writing it that I was explaining everything that I do in my company with my clients, that I relate, different healing modalities based off of what they are going on in their lives. I connect to people a lot through their soul and what they're dealing with on a daily basis, their life challenges, their obstacles, especially through like my psychic reading sessions and my astrology sessions with clients. And I find that like a psychic reading is never enough. Once they connect to their soul, once they connect to the deeper, darker aspects of themselves, or their difficulties, or their traumas, or anxieties, or depression, all that stuff, they need more than just therapy or talking things through.
Mm-hmm.
They need more healing. They need to eat better. They need to know, how to exercise. They need to understand how to connect their mind to body. And so I find myself often gravitating to helping people through various directions, the same way that I help myself. And so that's how the book transpired. And then all of my articles that I wrote throughout my time when I worked at Top 10, I actually put them in the book too, because that period of my life when I was writing those spiritual articles was very hard for me, actually, because I was constantly facing all of my fears and like all of my psychological blocks. Like I was constantly being woken up, taken through awakenings, and I was seeing, ghosts in my apartments. I lived in an old apartment built in 1969 or something like that. So I lived in a building.
Ooh.
A lot of old energy, dark energy, like, and I kept seeing spirits and connecting and and it was a lot. And but I would have not been able to write this if I didn't go through that. So so I found that because I went through the spiritual journey through those articles, I challenged my belief system, and I healed a lot of traumas and difficulties and like things that I went through in my childhood, in my teens, in my early 20s. And I actually felt like I fell in love with myself again, because all the judgment that I had as being a psychic, all the judgment that I had of being spiritual, a Reiki healer, all of those things that society cannot understand and judges us for, and including myself, like I was judging myself because of that. And I felt like because I went through that journey, I then started to expand my awareness, and it helped me also bridge the gap between science and spirituality and psychology and like the ethereal realm, the astral realm. And it actually brought up my awareness. So because I found so much freedom in that, and I'm in a much happier state now. This book actually became published when I finally moved here and I stabilized myself, and it was like a token of freedom. Like I'm free. Like I'm happy. I feel content in my life. I've freed myself from that darkness. And so I feel like if anybody who's struggling goes through this book and wants to learn about the tarot, because tarot is a mirror of the soul. So if you dive into the tarot and you pull yourself a tarot card for each day, and you allow those cards to pull on those unconscious chords in your inner self and allow it to show you what's going on within and outside of you, you can connect to a deeper part of yourself that you've masked or left hidden deep inside your unconscious or deep inside your conscious mind, that you otherwise hide from or you ignore, right, with your busy lifestyle or the things that you want to see. And so if you take the tarot and you use this book, you can potentially help find yourself. You can heal yourself. You can look at anything that you could be keeping from yourself, keeping from the world, shatter essentially a projected illusion that you might be pushing on to others and yourself in your life, right? And that is because of fears of being judged, or fear of being alone, or fear of abandonment, or fear of rejection, or shame, and all of those conscious beliefs that have been projected onto us by society, all this conditioning, right? That makes us feel like we have to look a certain way. So this book is basically about shattering that illusion within and freeing yourself, connecting to your chakras and being more aligned with your spirit, being more aligned with your soul, being more aligned with your intuition. Now, I'm not saying you're going to come out perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm still dealing with my own, inner turmoils on a daily basis, but I can guarantee that you'll definitely become a lot more closer to feeling more in tune, more like yourself, more confident, happier, grateful, and more compassionate with yourself and others. So
We were talking about chakras, guys, before we went on air, and I told Rosalia, I said, Rosalia, I never knew about the chakras below the heart chakra. I knew the crown, the third eye, the throat, and the heart. And I said, I didn't know anything about the rest of. And you would think, okay, I don't know everything. I do know where dead people are, but I don't know everything about the chakras. And so, Rosalia, when I said that, tell them what you said.
Right. So I found that really interesting because the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown chakra are your higher chakras, and those are like your higher vibrational chakras, which is what lifts you from the earthly plane and makes you more psychically aware to your surroundings. And I found it interesting that she had no idea about the lower chakras. She was just aware of those higher chakras. And it's because she's more in tune with her deeper knowing. Like, you don't need to read about it. You just know. You're not using divination tools. You just know you're psychic. You're aware of that. And you know you're only utilizing those top four, which I found really interesting how, like, you're just already aware and in a knowing of that. So that was cool. Another thing that I wanted to bring up that came to me was before this live session, I was actually meditating a few hours ago and resting, and I was saying to my spiritual friends there, like, oh, I don't want to connect to my lower chakras right now. I just want to connect to my higher chakras. And it's because the lower chakras, like your solar plexus, your sacral, and your root, they're more connected to your earthly animal instincts. It's like the chakras that show you that you're alive. Like it's the living chakras. It's the denser chakras. They're more related to matter and the heart stuff. And I'm like, I just don't want to feel that right now. I don't want to feel the animal instincts. I don't want to feel that. So I found that really interesting how we just came here alive and we're only talking about the higher chakras.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Wow. So, okay, so tell me more about how you knew you were gifted and how it kind of, like, what made you want to get into tarot and astrology? Why not go the route like I do, but what made you really decide that tarot and astrology may be your way with your gift? Or I think that's interesting because you have, my gosh, I mean, you are a nutritionist, okay? You have a master's in the psychology of food, am I correct?
Nutritional psychology, yeah.
Nutritional psychology, and you are a psychic, you are a medium, you are an astrologer, and I mean, my gosh, the list goes on. But so tell me about how you knew you were gifted. What made you realize that? And did you go through the same stigmas that I did? Like growing up in the deep Bible Belt South, it's like you're gifted. Oh my God, you're a child of the devil.
Oh man, get me started.
Yeah, the judgment. You were talking about
Like, I
it
just
earlier.
I knew not to say what not to say.
Yeah, you just didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
We couldn't talk about it. And that, so Rosalia, I hid my gift for what, 30 years? I hid my gift. Where did Jason go? I hid my gift for 30 years because I couldn't come out with it based on where I grew up. People might recognize me and the job that I did during the daytime. So, are you okay, Jason?
It just went, it lost and then booted me. I don't know what. Sorry. I didn't.
Sorry.
So anyway, the question is, how did you know you were gifted?
I mean, I had my first vision when I was incredibly young, and I actually told my mom about it. But she kept, I love my mom. She kept telling me, just to put that out there first, she kept telling me, no, that was just a dream. That was just a dream. And I was like, no, I swear, like it just happened. I was outside and like literally I just had this vision, you know, like it was crazy. Like the world opened up and I just saw a bunch of earths like come out of like this dimensional portal. Anyways, that was my first vision as a kid. And I didn't know then what psychics were, so I had no idea. But as I kept growing older, I had this deep knowing about who I would become. Like it was always within me. And I would always have like dreams about the future, premonitions. I actually got attacked when I was younger as a kid. I had a demon come in through my window and paralyze me. And then I woke up in the middle of the night, not able to breathe, and my dad actually drove me to the hospital. Yeah, so I saw like evil when I was really young.
Yeah, me
But I didn't
too.
know what it
Yeah.
was. Like you just think that you're a kid, right? So you don't know what you're looking at.
Mhm.
And you know, I had several things. Like I remember when I'm my childhood, I used to see demons in people,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Oh my gosh,
shivers
yes.
on my spine when I said that. And I found that, you know, I didn't know what it was because it was like found in the people that I love. So it was difficult to understand what I was looking at. I think that and then I grew up atheist because I actually grew up in a religious home and then my dad left. And the way that Catholicism was brought out in our family wasn't very healthy because my childhood wasn't the healthiest. So I actually ended up becoming atheist, not believing in God because that negativity kind of
Okay.
took over that. And I went through a really dark period in my life in my 20s, and I was in a toxic relationship, an abusive relationship. And that was actually what woke me up because when I got that little electrical shock in my hallway where I went blind, and I had that awakening, that was when my intuition started to really open and I started to have more visions and I started to see more and I started to separate myself from like bonds and ties that were unhealthy. And I would be able to see people. Oh, this was what was blown away from me, and this was the biggest clarity for me. I would look at people and they would be talking to me, and I'd be like, "No, you're not this person. Like I see something else. Like show me who you really are. Like I'm looking at you, and like I can hear you, I feel you. Like
Wow.
you're not being that. Like you know, you can just see the person's facade, and you're trying to see
Right.
and you're like waiting for that actual person you feel and see with your soul to come out. And I would go through that all the time. And that was actually how I got myself in bad situations because I would see the light in people that were showing up very dark. And
Right.
I would constantly want to see the God in them. So I'd like constantly want to like see the higher perspective, take the higher road. And that was probably one of my biggest awakenings. And when I finally was freed myself, I went through a spell of depression in my mid 20s. And one of my friends, she was going on a trip, and she handed me a box of cards. So she handed me a box of cards, and she's like, "You need this." And I was like, "No, I don't believe in any of that stuff. Don't give me that stuff." And she's like, "No." She's like, "No, you need that." And I was like, "Okay." So I started to pull oracle cards. So it was just oracle cards, and I would.
Now, what's the difference, Oracle and Tarot?
Yeah, sure. So tarot cards are more based off of behavior patterns and habitual patterns. They
Okay.
focus more on the elements that we carry on a daily basis. So like the way that we think, the way that we talk, the way that we feel, the way that we act, and the way that we sense our material world. And oracle cards are more soul divine present moment. Like it's more of a spiritual event. There's no pieces that you need to attach to. It's more general. It's more like a connected to source. Oracle is a lot more like like oracle cards are a lot more beneficial if you're not doing well in life. Like if you're, let's say you're suffering from depression, then oracle cards are really good because they always have a positive message. They're never really negative. They always encourage you to see the light, always encourage you to see better, see more, and they're brighter and they're more connected to like colorful symbology, and helps you see more of like the playfulness that is in the world that you miss. And tarot cards are more like there's more of a division. It's more focused on major events. There's more of a attachment to ego. So in the book, how I talk about like the psychic, to be able to be a psychic, you got to see the light of the ego, and tarot cards kind of help pull that out. So I actually transitioned from oracle cards to tarot cards when I felt very connected to the oracle cards. I just said, oh, you know, let's get into the tarot, and I started with that. And that was actually when it got real, and I started to see a lot of things. Like I saw demons, and I'm not saying that it's the work of the devil. I'm not trying to say that, but I think that it's part of the process.
Yeah.
Like when you're going from the earthly realm, and then you're have to go through the middle world. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it's it's the middle world where everything goes. It's like you find demons there, you find gypsies there, you find jinns, you know, jinns in the Muslim culture. You find all of that stuff there. And then once you get through that little trial of middle world and you enter a higher vibration, then you're connected to the divine and spirit. So it's like, because tarot is just a tool, it's just how you use it. So
which we had a one of our readers, Joyce Foley, said, thanks, Mary. Good to see you and Jason. Hi, Rosalia. Which deck is your favorite? Like, which tarot card deck, I think, is your favorite? And I said I would ask you.
Sure. I don't have a favorite. I have a favorite in the now. So, because I always transition decks. So right now, my favorite is the Tarot of Opposition. And that's the one I'm using right now. So I have lots of decks, and what happens is I typically choose the deck that I'm being pulled to, and then I stick to that deck for months, for over a year, for longer, depending on how long I'm being told to hold on to it. And then it's probably my background. And then the lesson afterwards is, when it's done with that deck, I just switch decks. So I have a new favorite.
So, I mean, but do you ever feel it's like, because I wanted to learn tarot, and I'm like, but how do you know which one? And you said it's what you feel, correct?
Yeah, what you're pulled into the most in that moment.
Yeah. Okay. And Nations does tarot. Okay. So tell us more about, so now you're a scientist at heart, okay? Nutritional science and things like that, psychology. How do you balance the two worlds, the metaphysical world? I mean, is there, you know, because most scientists, most people who practice like, you know, nutrition, psychology, they're a doctor, they have a hard time with believing in the spiritual realm. You know, they're very science-based, science-motivated, science-guided. So when something metaphysical shows up that they can't explain, like, okay, here's an example. I go to my doctor, and I was telling you guys the story before we came on. I go to my thyroid doctor, and I'm looking at him. He just knows me as patient 2374, female with a thyroid problem, sees me every 6 months. He goes, Mary, how you doing? I said, good. I said, what happened to your mom? Did she have an accident? Because I was thinking, all of a sudden she popped into my brain on my way over here to my appointment with you. Now, this doctor doesn't know me from Jack, doesn't know anything about my background, nothing. He's been seeing me for close to 10 years. He does not know me as a top psychic medium, does not know my gift at all, just thinks that I work a day job and I come to see him every 6 months. I said, so tell me about your mom. And I said, did she have an accident? Is she still with us? And he goes, and he was shocked, and he stopped, and he said, yeah, she's still with us. She just had an accident. She fell, and it wasn't her hip, it was her pelvic bone. And I didn't have the heart to tell him, she's not really going to be long for this world. Okay. 93 years of age. And I said, and he goes, how did you know that? I said, I just happen to be one of the top 5 psychic mediums in the world. Just thought I'd tell you that. Now you know a little bit about your patient. And his mouth dropped wide open. And here's a medical scientific doctor looking at me. He goes, I believe in that stuff. And I said, you do? And he said, yeah. He said, I'm very spiritual. I said, well, that's good to know. But I still couldn't tell him, you know, because Spirit purposely showed me his mother, who I knew nothing about. I thought she had died, honestly, based on what they had showed me. And so I think we weren't too far off when I say that. Hopefully he's not watching the show. That's all I can say. Yeah. So you were talking earlier about Albert Einstein. So
yeah. So I guess you're asking me, how do I bridge the gap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, firstly, like I've been intuitive first, and I think that is forever going to follow me around. Like my intuition is louder. Secondly, like I didn't mention this before, but I'm gonna mention it now because it just popped into my head that like I have multiple different types of psychic abilities.
Yeah.
I think that clairvoyancy for me, because it's so loud, like the ability to connect with a person and see them and see people, what they're doing. Not spying on you, people. Just so
Right.
you know, I'm not spying on you.
I am.
But sometimes I'm pulled into a scenario and I'll literally see people like doing their thing. I see people in their homes, or I'll see people on the street doing their thing, and I'm pulled into their situation, or I'll see their face, or I'll see them come into my mind's eye, or I'll see them looking at me like other energies remote viewing towards me. Like that is not something that can be told as insanity, because for me it's like it's so evidently obvious that I'm seeing a person I don't even know the name of. I don't even look them up on the internet. I don't even know their movement. So I hear their voice and see their face, you know. It's like what is that, right?
Right.
I think the biggest thing for me is because I'm a telepath, I did struggle for a little bit with the idea of being schizophrenic, because I was studying psychology and I was like, God, I must be crazy, because I could hear voices. And I think at times, like, no matter what, we cannot escape it. We do create our own illusions.
Right.
And sometimes we do attach to scenarios and illusions and perceptions of reality that are just simply not true. And there is a need there to shatter that, which is, I do mention that in the book, like to need to shatter the ego, like shatter the illusion, and be more connected to your intuition, to your psychic abilities, which is all about opening up that third eye and being not attached to any kind of scenario, but just allowing the psychic abilities to come through. But the more I dive into science and the more I study like chemistry, biology, and all of those foundational roots that I had in school, and I learned to think outside the box with it, like see and use it to broaden my perspective, I see science proving that psychic phenomena is real. Because we're constantly proving that the things that we cannot see, like light and electrons and atoms vibrating and things like this, is proven by scientific methods. So I just feel like it's absolutely impossible to not believe in the spirit, to not believe in a light that's bigger than ourselves. Like I just can't, I can't. And the more I dive into science, the more it proves for that to be real. And I mentioned Albert Einstein earlier because Albert Einstein was one of the greatest scientists of his time, and he was like he was unable to not believe in the divine. Like he believed that there was a divine, a spirit in everything. He felt like anybody who was serious about science and was diving deep into it could not possibly disregard the proof that divinity or spiritual energy exists in
Right.
all energy. So I believe that, like, if we're unable to bridge that gap, it's just a separation within ourselves. It's just an inability for our own selves to open up our minds. It's an inability for us to release the belief system or the conditioning that we have been placed with since we were young, and we're attached to that. There's a need to break that, to shatter that illusion in order to truly feel and see that. And I feel like, sure, there are many scientists in the world and many people in the world that are not believing of this. And I think it's because too that it's just a mass concentration of non-believers because, lack of proper education in the educational system, and like not teaching kids how to think outside the box or be more imaginative or more creative with their information. But teaching people more to follow a rule or a structure, and as a result, it creates this kind of closed mindset. And so for me, I've been breaking that belief system within myself when I traverse the world as a psychic, and I do tarot readings and astrology readings with my clients. But then I also, follow a logical path when I do like nutrition and fitness and things like that, because I don't believe that the two can exist apart. I believe they coexist. That's the only way to find wholeness and understand what's good for you, what's best for you, how to fuel yourself, how to fuel your system, how to be interconnected with what foods to eat, how to move, what's healthy for you, what kind of people are healthy for you, what kind of information you absorb, and if that's healthy for you. So I hope that answers the question.
Well, because I'm a nutritionist, so not specialize in medically necessary diets. And if the person, especially a gifted person, if they are not, if they're not fit and healthy and they have a gift, I mean, negative energies can see that deficit in that person and attack them. It doesn't have to be a spiritual deficit, meaning, you don't believe in, I just felt something right here. It doesn't have to be a spiritual deficit for a negative energy to attack you guys. It could be a physical deficit. Okay. Like if you're an alcoholic, if you do drugs, if you don't eat right, you eat chips and carbs all day long, and nothing green, a negative energy, a negative spirit energy can attack you going, wow, I used to love potato chips. I'm going to hang out with this person, even though I'm dead. I'm serious, because if you don't treat your body like a temple, okay, you can attract that negative energy. Am I correct?
Absolutely. I feel like the healthier I am, the more of my psychic abilities are amplified. Like a lot better.
Oh, big time. Like I try to reduce sugar, I notice that, or always good water.
I can't. I can't do sugar like I used to. I can't. I just can't. So, what is your favorite? I'm promoting it. Everybody get themselves a copy. It's on Amazon. I mean, I'm reading it going, I didn't know that. I feel stupid.
I don't want to make anyone feel stupid.
I'm serious. This is a great book. So what is your favorite part of it?
My favorite part? My favorite part is if you go down to the section of, let me just pull it up.
Let's put this up real quick.
Yeah. Thank you so much. My favorite part is when I actually bridge the gap between astrophysics, astronomy, and psychology.
Oh.
And the reason that this is my favorite is I'm not saying that it's true. I want people to know that I'm like a philosopher in my heart because I have delved into so many different types of modalities and information in this world, and I just keep searching for the truth. I'm a seeker. I do base things on scientific reason, but everything is meant to be like a hypothesis. Like it's a philosophical approach. Like the book is all based on that, even though it is based off of a lot of things that I have read and scientific reason and a lot of truths as well and facts. But there is a section where I bridge astrophysics and astronomy and psychology, and I'm not an astrophysicist, okay? Like I just read a little bit on astrophysics for dummies, okay? So I read astrophysics for dummies, and it blew my mind up because I already knew some concepts of physics, and I understood a bit of astronomy and gravity and electromagnetism and all of that stuff. And I've been reading up on quantum physics and things like this.
Oh,
And
I
then
love
studying
physics.
psychology, it brought it all together for me because psychology is just an observation of behavior patterns.
Right.
And astrology, we are essentially observing a person's birth chart based off of the time that they are born. So the snapshot of the sky, the celestial bodies at the time of their birth, determines their characteristics, personality, strengths, weaknesses in their birth chart based off of where those planets are placed in which house, right? And if you look at a person's astrology, you're basically looking at it from a psychological perspective. You're reading their behavior patterns, their perception of reality, how they love, how they feel, how they think, etc. And I love this section because when I read the astrophysics book, I was like, oh my God, that explains the separation between astrology and astronomy, where people can't see the two. And it's because in my mind, when I read the astrophysics part, it's like the planets are generating heat, they're generating like electricity, and that mass that creates this gravitational pull between the Earth and the planets create this kind of cosmic dance that influences us. And then the study of psychology, so the study of conscious collective by Carl Jung, if you were to study the collective throughout time, we've had time to observe people's behavior patterns based off of where the stars and the planets have been throughout this time. So I had this kind of aha moment. I guess I was in some kind of state of consciousness, and I wrote that part, and I love it because it puts it all together for me. And I feel like if a lot of people read this, they will also feel very aligned. And it's not 100% true because physics and astrophysics and quantum physics and all of that stuff is still so theoretical. And I'm sure that there's so much still to learn and so much still to understand. But if you take the perspective like me and you, Mary, and the psychic Jason, psychic empath, like we are in this knowing, right? We feel things on a psychic level, and like when you dive deep into that knowing, like you just know that it's true, right? With all the information that you kind of receive. So I feel like people would really resonate with that, and it's my favorite part because it was a big aha moment for me. So I hope it's everybody else's favorite part too.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
We had a question from Carrie. So, what's the difference between a psychic and a medium?
Do you want me to answer that, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I can. Okay, Carrie. Psychics are all knowing. Not all psychics are mediums, and not all mediums are psychics. Okay. And sometimes you have both gifts. Sometimes you only have one gift, a clairvoyant. A medium specifically can talk to the other side, the dead. Okay. So when you have both gifts and all knowing and being able to talk to the dead, you're a psychic medium. That's my take on it. What do I not know?
I mean, that was good. I mean, I liked your perspective on it, and I it was pretty on point. My perception of a psychic medium is like that, but also being a medium for the living too, because I find that I'm often connecting to other spirits that astral travel to me, or astral project, or remote view, or telepathically communicate with me. And then also when I'm connecting to like the conscious collective, when I can feel other people's emotions and feel their scenarios and kind of see that, I feel like you have to be a medium in order to really like really feel that, see that, sense that, right? Because you're just seeing a spirit travel to you, and you're picking up on that as a medium, like you're seeing the spirit in front of you. I feel like you need to be a medium for that. So that's my like perception of it. I don't know. Yeah.
The biggest question everybody wants to know: how do you open your third eye?
I mean, mine's been opening all week. It's been killing me. There's a lot of things that you can do. I'm actually going to write a book about it, but I feel like there's a lot of people that have already written. You can fuel your body with proper foods that enhance the glands that are associated with the third eye. So, for example,
the pineal gland.
Yeah, like the pineal gland, and then your sinuses, and then the brain. So if you eat a lot of food for your nervous system, for example, because your third eye is quite responsible for those electrical transmitted messages that come through you and another person, but also like you and the energy around you, because it's just electrical currents that you're sharing with your environment. So if you're feeding the brain, which is all electrical currents and neurons exchanging information, if you're feeding the brain with brain foods like fish and avocado and walnuts and green food, and if you want to dive really deep and focus on color, you can wear purple. You can eat purple, like lots of blueberries and eggplants and all of the beautiful purple foods to enhance the third eye. You can also ask to open it. I feel like if you ask to open it, it will activate with your true intentions. Like you just rub it, you look at your third eye, and you envision it purple, and you just imagine it spinning, 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 and wow, it will open. So you can do that. You can also get a Reiki healing, and I do Reiki on myself, but you can get a Reiki healing and get a practitioner to realign your chakras and really open up those chakras. And another thing, meditation. I stand by it, like being silent, being present, working through your fears, because I find that the most difficult thing when it comes to tapping into your third eye is to first remove the blocks, which is usually the fears of sight. So that's like any like kind of intrusive thoughts or insecurities or other people's beliefs or anything that makes you ignore your deeper knowing. So that's another thing.
Okay. All right. Wow. That's great, because no one has ever explained that to me before. It's like, how do you open your third eye? And it's like, well, you could ask it, but I'm not sure, I just know that mine's always been open, ever since I was a little kid, but no one's ever explained it before. How do you decalcify pineal gland? Through the foods?
Yeah, definitely foods. The first thing that you want to do is look at your mineral balance. So if you're eating a ton of fluoride, then that's going to lower your iodine intake, for example. So because iodine connects to fluoride. So if fluoride's too high, then iodine will be low in the body. So if you lower your fluoride intake, for example, and increase your iodine intake, which is found in like kelp and like seafoods and things like this,
right,
You can slowly decalcify your pineal gland. Making sure you're drinking pure water that is not filled with any kind of heavy metals, because our body is made up of healthy minerals. But if we have heavy metals, and that displaces the healthy minerals in our body that are necessary to keep our pineal gland healthy. And incredibly important is to watch your media intake. I have to tell myself that because I get addicted to Instagram because I'm young.
And I know. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Sorry. But sometimes I get a little bit addicted to the Explorer, and I like to play with the AI. Like sometimes I like to play with the AI, and I'm thinking about blueberries, and I like to turn it into whatever it wants to be on the Explorer. But really try to limit that, limit your technological intake, because that will block your pineal gland. And another thing to decalcify your pineal gland, focus on creative and imaginatory activities, because your pineal gland is responsible for opening up your imagination. It's responsible for thinking outside the box. It's responsible for your creativity. It's responsible for the right brain activity. So really focusing on being creative and active in your body, like passions and vibrant things like dance and sensual things, that will open up the pineal gland as well.
I was always told as a kid, were you always told this as a kid, or Jason, you're a very imaginative child?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, it wasn't my imagination. There really were dead people standing in my bedroom. Right. Oh my God. Yeah. So Jason, what kind of how to read auras?
Oh yeah.
Ooh, perfect. How to read auras.
That was probably my most favorite articles to write.
So when you see my aura, can you see it?
Yeah, it's pretty yellow to me. Pungy.
That's the hair. Yellow, huh? Okay, like golden yellow. What kind of yellow?
Like a strong will yellow.
Okay.
You're definitely very strong-willed. I feel that. But that's what came to me first. But then I feel a little bit of green that just kind of popped out a little bit, and then there is some red. So it's really interesting that you have those kind of lower chakra auras, because you're so in your higher, you're in your higher chakras, right? But there's different auras.
It keeps you grounded.
Too. Yeah, you're grounded.
Okay.
It's good.
I don't want to be too grounded.
No, you're good. You're good grounded. You don't too up in the sky either, because then you become disoriented. Right?
Yeah. Oh, hello. Jason just had a blackout moment a few minutes ago. He said he felt dizzy.
I got deja vu. Well, I got deja vu, intense deja vu, and then was a little dizzy right after.
Yay!
Yeah.
I'm so happy that we could do that for you.
And I ate right before, Mary. It's not because I didn't eat.
So I texted him eat something.
I did. I'm not hungry. No, it was is that when that deja vu pulls you out, and it was just a little disorienting when I came. It was pretty intense.
I love deja vus.
I know. So what do you think your past lives are, Rosalia?
Well, I keep getting told repeatedly that I lived 5 times. I don't know if this is my 5th life or my 6th life. I think I just heard 6th life, and I've had 5 lives. I believe that my 5 lives were pretty hard.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I feel that, because in this life, I feel very light, almost like it took 5 lifetimes to finally break free of some kind of really restrictive paradigms. And in this life, I feel very young and light. I feel very light soul, very young spirit. I feel good. I'm some people are I hear people and they're like, oh, this is my last life. I don't want to, there's no more after this. There's nothing left. and I'm like ready for like my next like few lives. Like I'm ready to go. Like I'm excited for it. So that's what I feel.
So
you're young though, right? No, I'm just kidding.
I know, but you're like,
give it a few years. Yeah.
You're so young and so agile. I saw some of those yoga poses. I'm like, I used to do that when I was in my 30s, you know?
I'd have to have a cell phone close by because I get stuck.
Okay. We covered this in like my last 2 shows or something. Practical ways to protect yourself from negative energies. How about you tell us what you do?
Yeah. I don't do it enough, and I should, because I'm way too trusting. That's my problem.
Me too.
I'm way too trusting. Especially when I see energies that I recognize in real life. So I'm like, okay, I'll try to be trusting. And I feel from the heart. So that I feel sometimes that can be a weakness. But when I feel like something is really off and my boundaries are really pushed to its limit and they didn't listen to me, which really bothers me a lot. If they don't listen to me, then I will pull out my sage and I will first cover the ground. It's a new way of doing things since I did my Reiki fire. So I cover the ground. I do earth magic first, and I protect myself and ground myself to the ground because I'm very light, so I fly away very easily. And so I ground myself to the ground. I ask for all the 5 elements to come around and protect me. And then I ask for divine spirit to bind all the elements together. And then I ask for spirit to come through and cleanse me inside and out, pushing out the negative. And then I provide protection and just filter in positive, filtering out negative. And I use sage when I do it. And I also have a positive affirmation that I repeat out loud over and over again. Remove negative, bring in positive, remove negative, bring in positive. Body, mind, and soul, time, space, dimension. Like I cover all the bases as much as I can of what our understanding of the universe is, at least. And my environment. And I do that, especially if I wake up in the middle of the night and there are like dark shadows. When I lived in the building, like my old building, I would wake up and I would see dark shadows in my kitchen.
Damn.
And I would literally have to like sage at 3 o'clock in the morning, like my apartment and all of that.
Oh yeah, been there. Yeah.
That's what I do. And then what helps is to do a Reiki healing and to raise my vibration. Because when you raise your vibration to the high, it kind of like sheds the shadow a little bit.
Yeah, because they're down here and you're up here. And they can't touch you when you raise your vibration. How do you suggest someone raising their vibration?
The first thing is to make yourself as happy as possible. If you're happy, your vibration is high. So whatever is weighing you down, like they know that whatever is weighing you down, and they'll magnify that. So if you're in a negative state, like let's say you had a bad morning, okay, someone spilled coffee in your pants or whatever, and you're walking around with the coffee stain and you're like, oh, I hate my life, and someone spills coffee in my pants.
It just keeps boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
Yeah, and then negative
amplifies.
Yeah, and it comes and, and then and then you get a hair in your bagel with cream cheese. And
or with salmon on it. Yeah.
Yeah, or with salmon on it. Yeah. And and then these people are so bad, and then it just gets louder and louder and louder, and they know your weakness, right? So then they weigh you down with that, and then they start to feed you that. They're like, yeah, people suck and life sucks, and like it just makes you negative the whole day, and sometimes it makes your whole life negative, right? Some people just can't get out of that pessimistic mind frame. So the first thing you do, you gotta get yourself happy. You gotta figure out what makes you happy. You gotta pull yourself out of that negativity. You gotta find something that brings you joy, whether that's seeing a good friend, whether that's like embodying your favorite passionate activity. Like you gotta music, whatever lights you up. Like you gotta get there.
This morning I was telling Jason and Rosalia. I said, I because now I'm back in the haunted house, the haunted location,
Yep.
the haunted backyard. Oh my God. So I decided to take a picture this morning with my phone. Okay. And I'm like, I don't see anything. And click, I took the picture. And then I held my finger on it because it's a live photo, and it said, what did it say? I forgot what it said. I take offense to that.
Yeah.
It was a spirit out in my backyard that heard me. And of course,
Well, they missed you, Mary. Yeah, they missed you.
And they're like, I take offense to that. And I was like, oops, sorry.
Oops.
And they're the loudest. Like,
yeah, they are.
And they lie.
Yeah, they lie. Yeah, right. But I don't, he wasn't, well, there was a woman on the tree. Did you see her, Jason? A woman on the tree this morning that I sent
I'd have to, yeah, I'm going to have to look again. I got distracted, but like my eyes weren't up yet. I put my glasses on and it was still a little blurry. And I'm like, I'll look at it again. Oh, yeah.
So guys, here's Rozalia's book. You can buy it on Amazon. Do we have yay? Do we have some slides of there we go.
Got the book there, and then I just available at Amazon.
And make sure to buy the paperback because it's not worth like the ebook because it's mostly a workbook, so you want to be able to write in it.
Right. So get the actual book. Right. And it's 500 pages, guys. This is a great book, really is. This is Rozalia's website, Soul Food Fitness, and her YouTube channel. Yeah. And if you want a reading, okay, if you need Reiki, if you need nutrition assistance, whatever you need, contact Rozalia. This is her Instagram page, okay?
Or personal training.
Yeah. And everybody follow, subscribe Rozalia's channel and her website, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put that. So,
absolutely. Do we have a word from our sponsor?
We do. Well, we do. Let's see what we got. Hold on. When I got bumped off, I had to reload everything. Hold on.
Oh, did you? Oh.
Yeah, one sec. I'm getting there. Okay, we'll do. Hold on. Where is it? Go ahead, Mary.
Crystals. Do you use a lot of crystals in your practice, Rozalia?
Oh yeah, I have them all. I got them all here.
What's your favorite stone for like keeping you up in the realm rather than keeping you super grounded?
Amethyst, right here.
Amethyst.
If I really feel disconnected, I rub this on my third eye.
Right.
But my Reiki teacher, when I was doing my Reiki 3, she told me that my third eye was wide open, like too open. And it explained a lot because I see a lot all the time. Especially with spirits around me and all that. So she actually advised me to ground myself. So that's actually why Soul Food Fitness exists, because I feel like we need to ground ourselves as well. Like fitness grounds, nutrition is more neutral. It promotes grounding and the higher chakras. So the amethyst, definitely. And then if I want to protect myself from negative energy, black tourmaline, I have a bunch of that all over the place. Okay. And then I have a few of them, like to be happy, I have my golden egg.
Okay.
So, like, this brings in positive energy, nurtures my sacral solar plexus. And then also malachite for heart chakra activation.
Malachite, I find, just keeps me, I mean, like, weighs me down. Isn't that crazy? I got a malachite ring, and the next thing I know, I felt like I was on the floor.
Just lapis lazuli.
So grounded.
That's
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't wear malachite as much as I have a ring and stuff I can't wear.
Yeah. So you're probably just more sensitive to some stuff. Like you just don't
Yeah.
need it. It becomes overactive for you, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Okay.
Well, then we'll throw this word from our
Do
sponsor.
you feel like there is some dark negativity surrounding you? Feel drained when you are around certain people? Frankie and Lord's Apothecary can help with their spiritual cleansing spray. Just a few sprays will clear the negativity away. Available at marythemedium.com.
Okay.
Did everybody hear that?
Yeah, that was amazing. I love
Or
that.
you have to press? I have to press the button.
I don't know. It's
Play.
yep. And then yep.
Mary the
Medium.
Medium. Yep, there
And
I
I
am.
did. I did add it to the description, so all the links you can link now. And yeah, learning as
Yep.
I go, kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have one more a word from a sponsor.
You will love Italian street bread. It's a good. Go to italianstreetbread.com and order use some today. Capiche?
There you go. Yeah.
That's
That's
good.
awesome.
At least it didn't say fatty American.
Oh, fatty, fat American. I edited that one. Do you want to? Oh, I do have a Tuk Tuk giving a little example for Thursday. So that's 13th. Here, we'll do.
Hey, all you cool cats. Come watch Mary the Medium and Pet Psychic. Now on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Yeah.
So.
That's my cat, Tuk Tuk. He was, for Halloween last year, he was Cat Cornelius, like Don Cornelius of Soul Train, way before your time, Rosalia.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's great. I love that. Jason, you have to send that one to me.
I will, yeah.
I have to
oh,
download
yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. We're definitely going to have you on again if you'll have us.
Yeah. This was fun. I had a great time.
So this is our, guys, because we're still in our weeks and weeks and weeks of gifts. So you have a gift, now what? And Rosalia is one of the experts that we decided to bring on the show. And so stay tuned for the next Sunday. This Thursday is our Pet Psychic show. And Rosalia, do you do psychic readings on pets?
Yeah, actually, but not too often. Only when a client requests.
Okay, cool. So we'll have you on that show too. How about that?
All right, cool.
All right, guys. So
yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Mary the Medium, Rosalia and Jason, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we will see you Thursday here on this channel. Mary, what do you see?
Okay, thanks everyone. Like and subscribe. I always forget that one. Okay,
Yeah.